Hello, everybody. This is Catholic Dad, episode number 54. That's why no one will remember your name. And I wanted to relate the story of the movie Troy. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but Troy is a movie with Achilles in it. Achilles is played by Brad Pitt, and he's kind of this. He's a god, right? But he's kind of a playboy god. You know, he doesn't really care, doesn't respect authority, and he does whatever he wants. Well, anyway, the movie opens with two kings in a battlefield, and their armies are all lined up ready to do battle with each other. And they decide that instead of killing everybody, right, and having this horrible, bloody battle, they're going to take the best man of each army, and they're going to put them against each other. And the winner takes all. So the winner will take all the spoils, and everybody gets to go home to their families, and less people die that way. And so there's this guy named Golgarius, which is one king's army. And then, and he comes out, and he's this giant, muscular man that could just destroy anything that he wants. And then the other king calls out Achilles, and Achilles doesn't show up to battle. Well, anyway, so the king, all annoyed because this playboy god, you know, is like, he doesn't really respect the king, he doesn't really care, he does whatever he wants, but he can kick butt on the battlefield when he needs to. He sends a boy to go find Achilles, and Achilles is sleeping in this tent with these beautiful women. You know, he's waking up, and he's this playboy guy. And he wakes up, and he's like all annoyed, but he knows he has to go do it. So he wakes up, he puts his armor on, and he's getting on his horse. And the boy says to Achilles, Achilles, that's the largest man I've ever seen. I would never do battle with him, or something like that. And Achilles, opens up his face shield or whatever he has and looks at the kid, and he said, that's why no one will ever remember your name. Now, let's apply that to our own ordinary lives. So Achilles has identified something. To gain notoriety, you have to do notorious things, or you have to do great things. Now, you can become infamous, or you can become famous. You can gain notoriety by doing bad things, or you can gain notoriety by doing heroic things as well, and really good things. And in our own lives, you know, there's a lot of battles, and let's break this down to the simplicity of our lives. There's a lot of battles that we do every single day, and we just don't realize that they're actually battles unless we think about them. Like things that we push off in our lives, things that we push onto other people, things that we don't grab as our own responsibility. Like some people have a difficult time speaking on the phone, and they just refuse to get on the phone and talk to people. But that's a battle too. And so whenever you take the battle on, the goal is to actually do something and make people's lives better through your action. And that's what Achilles does. So he goes to the battlefield, right? And he charges at this big giant, and he just slays him with one stab of his sword. The guy drops, and then Achilles walks up to the opposing army, and he says, is there anyone else? Is there anyone else? Meaning, I killed your big giant, but does anybody else want a piece of me now? So Achilles is he's like an uber alpha heroic dude, but we don't have to be that way, right? We could be heroes in other ways. And so this is for everybody to think about. When you have difficult tasks at hand, things that are hard for you, things that make you feel uncomfortable, things that, like that kid, I would never fight that guy. Things you could do that will step outside of your comfort zone, and that's how you become great. That's how you become notorious. And so when you step up to something like, for example, I must say I actually have a bit of a stage fright, but I speak in front of people a lot, and nobody ever knows that I have stage fright. It's because I force myself to do it, and it never actually gets any easier. So, like somebody says, hey, can you give this speech? I could easily say, no, I can't do that. I don't want to do it, and I never do. Like, I never feel good about giving speeches, but I always say yes. And the reason why I say yes is exactly that Achilles line in that movie. That's why no one will remember your name, is because there are hard battles we go into and things that we have difficulty with. But if we don't take them on, nobody will remember our name. And it's not like I'm going for notoriety. I'm not going for special, recognition. I'm doing it because that's how people remember your name. And when you remember people's names, you usually remember them for good reasons. And so hopefully I can have some influence on other people. Hopefully I can step out of my comfort zone and habituate more courageous behavior in myself. Courage is something that everybody lacks. In today's society, it actually doesn't, like the way that children are being raised, the way the younger generation's coming up, that they're not being habituated in the virtue of fortitude or courage. And so that takes that takes multiple difficult tasks and doing it against your will, but doing it because you know it's good for you. And so, and in fact, sports actually hopefully habituate the virtue of courage and fortitude. Like going to a big game against a bigger opponent or a better opponent, you still go into battle and you still get onto the battlefield and you still try to win. But hopefully you do it with virtue and justice and so on and so forth. And so, anyway, there's things in our lives that we could do. Little kids speaking in front of a class or something like that, or presenting or talking on the phone, or doing things that they find difficult. They should do those things, and they should do them because they don't like doing them. And if you do that, when they get later in life, and there's a call to go out and slay a large monster on the battlefield for the good of all your fellow countrymen, if you habituate fortitude, and you actually identify that that's how people remember your name, then you're far more likely to do such things. And so, well, anyway, that's Catholic Dad. Just something to think about. And this is actually, by the way, this isn't even just true with regards to the males of the audience. I hope you guys realize that. I wasn't trying to be gender specific here. Females can they have things that they find difficult as well, things that make them feel uncomfortable, and things that they want to do but they can't do. And so there you have it. Young men and women out there, do courageous things. Build the courage of fortitude, or the virtue of fortitude. Actually, I can also touch on one more topic here. In terms of, young men and women courting one another, I think the whole dating process is important, that people go and they get to meet each other, and they have to learn how to treat people with respect and confidence. Now, young men, you have to act confidently, and that means doing courageous and fortitude building experiences. Telling somebody that they look nice, or they're funny, or they have pretty hair or something like that. That's not always easy to do, but you have to do it. You actually have to step up and do it. And if you do that, and you do it, not infrequently, but you get better at it, because compliments are nice. And if you're trying to actually, if you see somebody that you're interested in and they have virtue in their lives, doing that thing, like being courageous and being forthright, that's difficult, but it's something that is necessary to the process. And actually, young ladies out there, if you actually see a guy that's not willing to step up, usually that signals you that he's kind of a wimp, and you want nothing to do with him anyway. And so it's that courage that actually gives you recognition in the future. And so, well, anyway, this is Catholic Dad signing off. Something to think about. Please pray the rosary daily, get the Mass, get the confession. God bless you, and have a nice night.